Hey everybody, it's your homegirl Jasmine, your main homegirl, and this is my main homegirl Hattie. So last time I did wash day routine, so today I'm gonna do a slick bun. I should probably wash my hair sometime soon, but I just don't feel like it. It's hot and I don't feel like going through the whole process. So I'm just gonna put it in a bun for a couple of days. I normally do my slick bun on kind of dry hair or damp hair, not really wet hair, so I combed it out yesterday, plaited it up, and then let it dry, and this is the result of it being dry. I didn't really put anything on it because I don't like to put a lot of stuff on it when I do a bun, and I normally just spray like the top layer. The reason I don't like to do it on wet hair is because it's like it gets really nasty and my hair stinks like a wet mop, and I personally don't like the smell. I mean, to each their own, but I don't do my buns on wet hair because it stinks really bad and I hate it. So I don't really use a lot of products. I use like this one butter gel, not a real gel, because I don't like real gel in my hair. It makes it really hard and then flaky, and I don't really like it, so I use a butter gel, and I'll probably just put like something on the ponytail part before I wrap it up. So we're gonna get into it. I start with my spray bottle and just spray the outside layer. I need to work on making faces because I make faces every time I do my hair. Not too much water though. And the reason I do this is because like just product on straight hair, it's like super hard to brush. If I get a comb and on the side part, shawty, because the side parts are like my life. So I want to make sure my part, and I'm into like a deep side part for whatever reason. I like a deep side part because I just feel like it gives it a better look. Anyway, while I'm on here, I also want to talk to you guys about voting, because this year is an election year. And it's a national election year. And I am super into politics because they super affect our lives. So before I put the butter on here, I'm going to put... I don't have it, so I'm just going to do the butter. They super affect our lives. Like local elections more than national elections, and state elections more than national elections. So it will go like local election affects your life, your everyday, your how you pay taxes, where you get gas from, and how much the gas costs, and it just the food that you buy and where you buy it from, and like if you own a house, your property taxes. Those local elections, that stuff really matters. So who's your mayor, your city council, whoever those people are, they really affect your life on a day-to-day basis almost. So it's like, do you really want to get into a relationship with somebody that you don't really know anything about? Because they might have different beliefs than you and different, points of view on things than you do. So like the first time I voted was in a national election. But the first time I voted in person was like 2012. It was when after I had graduated from college. Like I voted in person, and the only thing I knew, because I voted in the primaries, right? The only thing I knew was who was running for president at that time, which was Obama. So of course I voted for Obama. But besides Obama, I didn't really know too much else. I think at that time Kamala Harris was running for AG, and I voted for her because she was black and it sounded like a black name. Although I didn't really know too much about Kamala, it sounded like a black name. Then I just went down the ballot picking people that I thought were either minorities or women, which is a horrible way to vote. Nobody should ever vote like that. I mean, but if you do, I don't really blame you, because voting is a lot of research, and a lot of people don't want to be as informed as they can be, because it makes it like really you know, like, the more informed you are, the more upset you may get about things, the more you may care about things. So people don't really like to be as informed as they can be or should be. So you just kind of go in there and feign ignorance, and you're like, well, at least I know who I voted for president, or at least I know who I voted for governor, if you even vote in the midterms, which is another thing. But then you kind of just go on about your life. So that's how I voted the first time. I walked out the voting booth and I felt awful. Like, who is these people? What are these measures? Like, I'm trying to learn about the measures as I'm voting, and it's just like a horrible way to feel. And I hated it. And I was like, okay, I'm never going in a voting booth like that again. I'm going to be informed every single time I go in, because it's too important to be careless with my vote. That was my thoughts. Those are my opinions. I mean, if you feel like being careless with your vote is a thing, then, I mean, continue to do your thing. I personally feel like it's too important to be careless. So I didn't want to be careless with my vote. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to get informed and I'm going to be ready in November. So by that November, I got the little booklet in the mail that I think I don't know if every state does it, but California sends out the little booklet in the mail, and you get to read like all the measures that are going to be on the ballot, who's running for Senate, Congress, AG, whatever is on the ballot. You get to kind of read about it, read about the candidates, read about whether you agree with their policies or not before you actually vote. So I got that booklet and I read every single thing. And what I didn't know, I looked up, I researched it, and I just decided, like, I'm going to be as informed as possible. So when I went into the booth that November, I mean, I was just as sure about Obama as I was in the primary, but I knew more. And it was so easy for me to vote. I wasn't standing there for 20 minutes like, what am I doing? I actually took the book with me. I had circled everything that I decided was a yes or a no for me and who I wanted to vote for, and I voted for everybody and I left. But I felt confident. I felt good about my decisions. So from then on, I vote like that all the time. Like, it's really a thing for me where I take it serious as a civic duty, which I'm not really into. Like, I don't know, I don't really consider myself, like, I shouldn't say that, but I take it serious, like, as a civic duty, because at the end of the day, it affects my life. And the smaller the election you may think in your mind, the more impact it has on your life. So because I think that it is a very serious thing, I take it seriously. And I think that more people should be informed when we go to the voting booth. And a lot of people say, like, oh, well, your vote doesn't count. And the thing is, for those people, I can't speak for those people, but it seems like they're only speaking, like, in 4-year national election presidential campaign situations like that. And while the presidential campaign is a little bit, or a presidential election is a little bit more unclear about how your vote impacts your life, it is like, it still counts whether your state has 200 electorates or whether your state has 3. You know, you're being counted in that state. So, like, California is blue. We've always been blue. We're always going to be blue. I don't know how long we've been blue, but all my life we've been a blue state, except when they voted Reagan into the government. But I just feel like, and Arnold Schwarzenegger, 2 awful decisions, but whatever. And I think that in states where you live, like in a swing state or a state that could be flipped, I think it's really important to know how you're voting, because at this point, people always say, like, oh, Republican Party is the party of Lincoln, they freed the slaves. Wow. Republican Party was at one point the party of Lincoln, and Lincoln did sign the Emancipation Proclamation. I don't know, like, he didn't free the slaves because it was a good thing to do. Like, the country was going to cease to exist if the war didn't end. So it's like we were kind of like thrown in there as a part of the treaty, like, oh well, we'll give y'all this, just make the war stop. So for me, I feel like now, today, the Republican Party does not really benefit me as a person, as a black person, as a woman, because at this point, especially with the person who's in office, they're really trying to hold on to whatever power they have, and I understand, but I just feel like I'm going to vote in a way that benefits me. And I think we need to be very conscious of that. Like, yes, Republicans are a party of Lincoln, but Democrats signed the VRA, which makes it possible for us to vote. Like, okay, in 1870, the 15th Amendment was ratified, which said basically, like, you can't discriminate against a man, not a woman, a man, in the voting booth based on his color, race, ideology, whatever. He couldn't be discriminated against. But then Jim Crow laws happened, and all of these things happen to try to stop black people from voting, especially in the South, like poll taxes and literacy tests and just dumb stuff like, guess how many ounces of water is in this bottle? And it's like, how am I supposed to know that? And because I don't know it, I can't vote. And it's like, yes, I'm a college educated black woman, but I don't know how many ounces are in this bottle. Like, why would I know that? So it was stupid stuff like that that stopped people from voting. And then in 2012, like, the Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act that was implemented in 1965. So because the Voting Rights Act was put into place or signed into law by President Johnson, a Democrat, then every state had to allow black people and minorities to vote, no matter what. And then they were also, like, in the states where it was like, okay, there's a law, but they might not obey the law, there was national oversight to make sure that the people were still able to vote. And then in 2012, the Supreme Court got rid of the Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act, which basically made the states accountable to the federal government. So now states are no longer accountable to the federal government. That's why you see, like, the voter suppression in Georgia, where it was only that one like, people were in line for hours and hours and hours trying to vote. And then in Kentucky, they only have the one polling place in the county that has the largest population of black people. It's to deter you from voting. So you can't just say, like, oh, voting doesn't matter, because if it didn't matter, why are they trying to stop you from voting? Why is voter suppression such a huge deal? And if you think it's bad right now in the primary, November is going to be even worse, because right now in the primary, you already know Trump is the candidate for Republicans, so they don't really have to vote for their candidate, because Trump is, nobody primaried him, he is their candidate. And in the Democratic race, now we have decided that is, like, Democrats have voted Joe Biden is the president-elect. And yeah, they don't want you to vote down ballot, which is what really matters. That's when you have measures and stuff that, like, increase taxes in your state, or decide to give schools more money, or police more funding, or whoever they decide to give more funding to. Those measures are super important, and you should read them, vote down ballot, really, really care about those things, because those things are more important than, like, the executive office or whatever. But in November, it's going to be very crazy, and voter suppression is going to be worse than it was during the primary. So, because Republicans are not willing to give up power, like, most minorities vote Democratic. And because minorities put together, we outnumber the people who are resisting change in this country. We can easily vote Joe Biden into the presidency. But because of voter suppression, it's harder to get the turnout. Well, no, people have been turning out, but it's like, you got to stay in line for 12 hours. Then what if you work an hourly job? You don't get paid to go vote. You don't get the day off. So it's like, can I really afford to miss this whole day's work to go vote? So people are choosing between like livelihood and voting, which voting directly affects your livelihood. So it's like a vicious cycle. And I think my hair is kind of lumpy. But I think it's super important for us to be well informed. This is the gel too, it's like a butter. But I think it's important for us to be well informed when we vote. Research the things that are going to be on your ballot in your state, because they affect your life. Like in California, for like the last maybe like 3 or 4 election cycles, maybe three election cycles, there's been a measure to put a 12% tax on gas on the ballot almost every single time. I always vote no, because the gas is super high out here. Like, why do we have to? And the 12% tax gas goes to fixing infrastructure, right? But every time it's a 12% tax on gas, every time it's a 12% increase every time on the ballot, right? But the streets are raggedy as hell. So it's like, you're not fixing the infrastructure, but yet the gas prices keep rising. So why would I keep voting for gas taxes and gas prices to increase when I'm not seeing it reflected in the infrastructure the way that you claim that it was going to be, the way you claim it was going to be used? So like, are you using the taxes on the gas to do infrastructure, to like correct and fix the infrastructure, or are you doing what you want to do with them? I don't really know what y'all doing with them, but I know the streets that I drive down be raggedy and they're getting worse. So I don't vote for that, because I think that is dumb. Like, I think it's just dumb. And I think like when you pay attention to those things and pay attention to the different measures they try to put on the ballot, and then sometimes it's the same measure over and over, and you may have voted one way the first time and one way the next time. Like, you're voting different ways because it's worded different, but it's the same thing. So if you really read it and understand what you're voting for, you'll realize like, oh, it's like a job application when you have to take the little test and they ask you the same questions over and over and over, just in different ways. That's how the ballot is, and you can't be fooled, because these people try to get over on you. And I ain't paying no more taxes because it's too high. Like, the rent is too high. Just like in Compton, their target is higher than in Long Beach. I'm trying to shade Compton because I love it, that's my city, but their target is like the highest around here. Like, you go to the surrounding targets and it's cheaper, but Compton has like really high taxes. But then they also don't turn out a vote in the smaller elections where they should turn out a vote. So I have to pay attention to that stuff. All of it affects your everyday life. Your vote does count. It does matter. And the president is the least of your concerns. I mean, it's important. You don't want to have a dumb president. I'm not saying that. Or you don't want to have an awful president. But I'm saying the president is the president of the whole country. So you will hope that the president will be doing what is best for the whole entire country, which sometimes doesn't really fit your personal needs or your needs in your city. Like, some things that are implemented aren't really effective in your city because maybe you guys didn't need whatever that was. But your mayor and your city council and your school board, vote for school board because they be out here trifling, affects your city every day. The school board affects exactly what your kids are learning in school. You know, you live in that city, your kids go to that school, go to the schools in that district, and you like, this is trash. Well, it's trash, but who are you voting for? Are you voting for the same 10 people over and over and over and over again every single time they're up for election? Stop voting for those people, or stop staying home. And then you won't have to deal with the trifling school board that ain't teaching your kids nothing. That's a like side rant off subject, but I'm saying, you don't like your mayor, vote. Go to city council meetings, figure out why they're not meeting the needs of the people. Go with some demands, like, these street lights are out for 10 blocks on this street. Like, this is happening here, this is happening there. What are you guys doing about this? You know, like, question these people, hold them accountable, because they are accountable to you. Like, in a sense, the community or the constituents are these people bosses. Like we should have the power over what they decide to, the bills they decide to write, what they decide to implement in our cities and our communities. Like that should be something that we give, like we tell them, almost like, I don't like this, I think you should fix this. Just like when you're at work and your boss is like bossing you around and you're like, yo, chill, I know what I'm doing. No, you might not know what you're doing. They might need to tell you. So you might need to tell the people that you vote in exactly what you need. And if they can't seem to give you what you need, everybody comes up for re-election at some point. Vote them out. And keep doing it until you get who you want. So my ponytail is super, super loose. Probably because I've been ranting about voting. But voting is super important. And I just, when I get on the social networks, I see the craziest things about voting, especially from black people, especially from young people, and I just feel like we should be a little bit more informed. So I hope I am informing you. You don't feel like I'm chastising you, because that ain't the goal. You know, I think there's just a lot we don't know. I didn't know, but the more I study and the more I learn, and I'm like one of those people, I watch C-SPAN all the time. I watch C-SPAN all day because I just want to see what they're trying to do to us in this country. And I flip back and forth between C-SPAN and C-SPAN 2 because the U.S. House is on C-SPAN and the U.S. Senate is on C-SPAN 2. So whenever you want to know what's going on, just watch one of those channels. If it's something that you're interested in, like, oh, you know, tomorrow they're going to be talking about the police and the police reform. I'm not saying that they are. I don't know what they're going to be talking about tomorrow. But say tomorrow they talk about police reform. And you want to see, like the Senate is talking about it, whether they're going to pass the HEROES Act? The police reform bill that the House passed. So the House passed the bill. The Senate has not passed the bill. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said he's not even going to look into it. But anyway, they passed the bill. So you want to know what the Senate position is. Like, what are y'all going to do? Are y'all just going to keep letting the police kill us? Like, always, is it going to be some police reform? Are we getting rid of qualified immunity, which is huge? And I think that would be like the biggest win for minorities and just people in general. Because police out here killing everybody, not just us. They just be out here killing everybody. So if you want to see, like, oh, they said they're going to talk about it on July 3rd at 12 Eastern. Okay, it's 9 o'clock my time on July 3rd. Let me turn on C-SPAN 2 and see who's saying what. See what the representatives from my state is saying. See who represents my district. And see if they're saying things that I agree with or things I disagree with. If they're saying things I disagree with, let me write their name down, find their number, call their office. And if they still haven't changed their tune by the time they're up for re-election, just gonna go ahead and vote them out. And move on to the next person who will represent the people. And yeah, it's super important and we need to do it. And in November, whether you're informed by that time or still uninformed or indecisive, whatever, go vote. And the last thing I'm gonna say about voting is do not waste your vote. Don't waste your vote. Going around and voting down ballot is the worst thing you can do. I seen in Kentucky, like, for the Democratic presidential candidate, I seen that most of the people, and you can look it up on the internet, that most people voted for Joe Biden because he's the only one that's still technically in the race. Everybody else has either dropped out of the race or suspended their campaign. But so many people were voting, like, for Biden, no, for Bernie, Warren, Klobuchar, like, people. That is such a wasted vote. It's just wasted. They're not in the race anymore. Whether their name is still on the ballot or not, they have no intentions of being president anymore. They cannot garner the support they would need to beat Trump. Whether you really, really, really was a burner or you was a part of the K-Hive, shout out to Kamala Harris because I was a part of the K-Hive. Whether you were a part of the K-Hive, whether you were a burner, whether you was down with Liz and her whole crew, or whether you was down with Klobuchar and y'all was going to be like popping whatever, you know, whoever you were down for, Biden is the guy. So, we have to suck it up and give them our vote, whether you like it or not. So is it just like, I'm gonna be stubborn and still vote for these people that are no longer in the race? Or is it, I'm gonna do my civic duty and get somebody in office who cares about America? It is your civic duty to vote smart. It really, really is. And the presidency cannot be taken lightly. If we do not vote smart in November, it could be, and I am not trying to sound cryptic, it could be the end of America as we know it. And while my people ain't ever been completely free here, I definitely don't want to be under no dictatorship. So you have to vote smart. And you have to think about the decisions you are making. Because the choices you make are long-lasting and life-changing. In the words of my Bible study teacher, the choices you make are long-lasting and life-changing. A lot of people voted for Trump because they thought it was funny. Hell. Look at us now. Vote smart in November. Vote smart if you still have primaries coming up. Our primaries been over since March. But vote smart. I didn't want to vote for Joe Biden in March. But I wasn't going to vote for Bernie. Because in my mind, Bernie was a left-wing Trump. And I knew he wasn't going to beat Trump. Because the country has gone too far right. And a lot of people are starting to fall away from that. But they also don't want nobody who's too far left. So I knew somebody who was right in the middle would have the opportunity to beat Trump. So my voting logic was, we need somebody moderate. Whether I agree with all of his views, whether I have issues with him or not, he's moderate, which would be attractive to the people who left the Democratic Party in 2016 and the people who are independent. So because I thought that a moderate candidate would be attractive to more than just me and the majority of America, I was like, okay, I'm gonna vote for Biden. And now, according to the polls, he seems to be doing well. Although, don't believe the polls. Get out and vote like your life depends on it. The polls have him up everywhere, but we ain't gonna believe that. We just gonna get out and vote like our lives depend on it, because it does. And so, I'm done with my bun. I really just use water and this butter gel and brush it 1,000 times. And then it comes out like this. Let's see if I can turn. You can see. And I got this side is slick. This side is slick. I don't look like a cone head. Okay. Now, I just put a whole bunch of clips in it. And this will last me like a few days. Well, no, like I can wear it all day tomorrow. And I'll probably have to wash my hair over the weekend, because the player is out here struggling on the hair stuff. It be hot. And I just don't be feeling like doing my hair. When it's hot, I don't want to do nothing. And it is hot in California right now. Now I'm stuck in the house, can't go outside. I don't do my edges because I just don't believe in doing my edges. Like, my edges are exactly what they are. I don't have baby hair and I ain't about to force it. I've never had baby hair. And I just don't believe in forcing what isn't there. Relationships, baby hair, friendships, jobs that no longer fit. I ain't forcing none of it. It's gonna be what it's gonna be. I got 3 clips on this side. And put some on this side. And last video I was like, oh, I'm making faces. So I had to stop. Well, I'm trying to stop, but I mean, doing my hair just feels so freaking amazing. What else? Oh, I could put this one in. Super cute.